All right, so we've got this really interesting set of papers you sent over on natural language processing.
Yeah, looks like you're diving deep into language model pre-training and fine-tuning.
You got it. And it seems like you're especially interested in how AI learns compared to us, humans.
Yeah, that's a key challenge, how humans can learn from just a few examples, while AI typically needs mountains of data.
Exactly. And I'm seeing from your notes that you're fascinated by the breakthroughs in bridging that gap.
Absolutely, the papers you picked really get into some surprising advancements there, like the BERT paper. It explores learning efficiency through masking strategies.
Ah, Bert. Now, for folks who might not be familiar, can we break that down a bit?
Sure, imagine you're reading and someone spilled coffee on the page, hiding a few words. BERT's job is to figure out those missing words based on the surrounding context.
Okay, so it's kind of like a word game, like filling in the blanks.
Exactly. And what the BERT research found is that changing how we mask those words during training, how we hide them, doesn't really affect how well it performs on real-world tasks after fine-tuning.
Hmm. So Bert's pretty adaptable. It's not thrown off by a little variation.
Exactly. It suggests BERT has a really robust and flexible learning process.
That's pretty cool, but there's that one finding that really stood out to me. Using only masking or only random word replacement during training actually makes Bert perform worse.
Right, compared to the combined strategy that BERT uses.
Yeah, why would that be? You'd think more variation would be better.
It's like BERT needs a balance of predictability and surprise. That combined strategy might be giving it the right mix, kind of like how our brains need routine and novelty to learn.
Interesting. So does this mean that if someone's working with BERT, they have more flexibility in how they fine tune it?
That's right. They don't have to worry as much about messing things up, which is
Mm.
great news.
Definitely makes these powerful models more user friendly. So you've got BERT with its masking, but then there's GPT-3, which takes a whole other approach.
GPT-3, oh yeah, that one's been making waves. Remember how we were talking about AI needing tons of data? Well, GPT-3 is built on a massive 175 billion parameters.
Whoa, that's huge GE, like way bigger than anything we've seen before.
More than 10 times larger, in fact. And that allows it to do something called few-shot learning.
Few shot learning, huh? Does that mean it can learn new stuff from just a handful of examples, not like the thousands or millions traditional AI needs?
You got it. Instead of training on massive data sets, GPT-3 can perform well on tasks with just a few demonstrations. And get this, it does it without any gradient updates or fine-tuning.
Hold on, no fine tuning at all. So it's not like tweaking its settings based on those few examples. How does that even work?
It's pretty mind-blowing. The sheer size of GPT-3 lets it store so much knowledge during its initial training. It can adapt to new tasks with very little guidance.
It's like it's got this deep well of understanding it can draw from. Okay, so we've got BERT being all adaptable with its masking, and then GPT-3 learning on the fly with just a few examples. What can GPT-3 actually do with this few-shot learning?
Oh, all sorts of things. From translation to question answering, even things like solving analogies, the kind you see on the SATs. It can even write realistic news articles. So realistic, it's hard to tell they're not written by a human.
Wow, that's impressive and kind of scary if you think about it. But focusing on the positive, what does this mean for someone who wants to use GPT-3?
Imagine adapting a language model to your specific needs with just a few examples, instead of gathering tons of data and labeling it all. That's the power of few-shot learning.
That's incredible. It really democratizes AI, but even something this powerful can't be perfect, right? There's got to be limitations.
Of course. GPT-3 struggles with tasks that need deep understanding of long texts or making subtle comparisons. For example, it can write a news article, but it's not so good at understanding a nuanced argument.
So it can mimic the form of complex writing, but not the deeper meaning.
Right. It likely has to do with how GPT-3 processes language. It reads text in one direction, left to right, so it can't look back and refine its understanding as it goes.
Ah, that makes sense. So it's amazing in some ways, but still has room to grow when it comes to those trickier language tasks.
Exactly. Makes you wonder if future models could overcome those limitations, maybe by processing language in both directions.
Yeah, what could the next generation of language models do? It really gets you thinking about that difference in how humans and AI learn.
You're right, it's fundamental. Humans just get new concepts from a few examples, but AI needs mountains of data for the simplest things.
And GPT-3 seems to be bridging that gap. It's learning more like we do.
It's a glimpse into the future, right? AI that adapts to you with just a few interactions, the possibilities are mind-boggling.
It's exciting and a bit daunting, too, but with all this power comes responsibility.
Absolutely. We need to be really careful about the data we feed these systems, the biases they might pick up.
We have to make sure they're used for good and don't end up reinforcing harmful stereotypes or discriminating against certain groups.
You got it. We need safeguards, ethical guidelines, and really thorough evaluation.
It's not just about pushing the limits of what's possible, it's also about making sure these advancements are used ethically.
Couldn't agree more. And it's great to see that the GPT-3 researchers are aware of these issues. They spent a lot of time analyzing potential harms and figuring out ways to mitigate them.
So they're not just trying to build the biggest, most powerful model, they're also thinking about the ethical implications.
Exactly. It shows a growing awareness in the AI community about responsible AI development.
It's not just about getting amazing results, it's about the impact on society as a whole.
Right. And that brings us to the issue of data contamination, which one of the papers you sent dives into.
Yeah, data contamination. Can you remind us what that is again?
Basically, it's when the data used to train a model accidentally includes examples from the test sets used to evaluate it.
Like giving a student the test answers beforehand. They might get an A, but they didn't actually learn anything.
Exactly. And the GPT-3 researchers took this issue very seriously. They did a lot of analysis to see if any of their training data overlapped with the benchmark datasets.
And were they honest about what they found?
To their credit, yes, they were very transparent. They found a few cases where contamination might have boosted the model's performance, but they were upfront about it.
So they weren't trying to hide any potential problems.
No, not at all. And I think that transparency is crucial in AI research. It's such a fast-moving field, and we're pushing the boundaries all the time, so we need to be honest about limitations and the potential for bias.
Transparency and rigorous evaluation, those are key to making sure these advances are used responsibly and ethically. It's not just about celebrating the successes, it's also about acknowledging the challenges.
You know, thinking about all these groundbreaking advancements and their potential, it makes me wonder what learning even means. Well, we tend to think that AI needs tons of data to learn even the simplest things. But GPT-3 shows us that maybe there's another way.
Yeah, like it's starting to learn more, like humans do, grabbing new ideas from just a few examples.
It's a pretty amazing glimpse into the future of AI. Imagine AI that can personalize itself to you with just a few interactions, or adapt to new situations with minimal training. The possibilities are pretty mind-blowing.
Both exciting and a little daunting to think about. But as we explore those future applications, it's important to remember that with great power comes great responsibility.
Absolutely. As we develop more sophisticated AI systems, we need to be incredibly mindful of the data we use, the biases they might inherit, and the ways they could be misused.
It's not just about pushing the boundaries of what's technically possible. It's also about making sure these advancements are used for good and don't accidentally reinforce harmful stereotypes or discriminate against certain groups.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's a collective responsibility that involves researchers, developers, policymakers, and society as a whole. And it's encouraging to see that the researchers behind GPT-3 are aware of these potential pitfalls and have really dedicated a lot of their work to analyzing potential harms and figuring out ways to mitigate them.
So they're not just focused on building bigger and better models, but also on making sure those models are used responsibly and ethically. That's good to hear.
I think it says a lot about the growing awareness within the AI community of how important responsible AI development is. It's not just about getting cutting-edge results, it's also about the broader impact on society.
It's not just about preventing misuse, it's also about making sure these AI systems are fair and unbiased in their outputs. And speaking of bias, one of the papers you sent goes deep into this issue of data contamination, which can be a real problem in AI research.
Data contamination is something to be very aware of, especially when evaluating AI models. It happens when the data used to train a model accidentally includes examples from the test sets used to evaluate its performance.
It's like giving a student the answers to a test beforehand. They might ace it, but it doesn't mean they actually learn the material. So how did the GPT-3 researchers tackle this problem?
They took it very seriously, doing rigorous overlap analyses to find any instances where their training data might have overlapped with the benchmark datasets used to evaluate GPT-3. And to their credit, they were transparent about their findings, acknowledging a few cases where contamination may have slightly inflated the model's results.
So they weren't trying to sweep any potential problems under the rug.
Not at all. They were upfront about the limitations and took steps to mitigate them.
That kind of transparency is crucial in AI research. It's a rapidly evolving field, and we're constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible. But it's so important to be honest about the limitations of our models and to acknowledge the potential for bias and error.
I completely agree. Transparency and rigorous evaluation are key to ensuring that these advancements are used responsibly and ethically. It's not just about celebrating the wins, it's also about acknowledging the challenges and working together to address them.
As we've been discussing these groundbreaking advancements and the potential they hold, I keep coming back to that initial observation you made about the difference between the way humans and AI learn.
You're right, it's a really fundamental difference, isn't it? Humans can often understand new concepts from just a handful of examples or a simple explanation, while traditional AI models need huge amounts of data to learn even seemingly simple tasks.
It's almost like GPT-3 is starting to bridge that gap, showing a kind of learning efficiency that we typically associate with human thinking.
It's a pretty amazing glimpse into the future of AI, isn't it?
Yeah.
Imagine a world where AI can personalize itself to your needs and preferences with just a few interactions, or adapt to new situations and challenges with very little training. The possibilities are pretty mind-boggling.
It really makes you think, about how far AI has come, from those early rule-based systems to these amazing language models that can learn and adapt and even create.
It's incredible how fast this field is moving. And speaking of pushing boundaries, one area where I see huge potential is scientific discovery.
Oh yeah, imagine AI helping scientists make breakthroughs, analyzing massive data sets, finding patterns humans might miss.
It could accelerate scientific progress in so many fields, from astronomy to biology, helping us tackle things like climate change or finding cures for diseases.
It would be like having a super-powered research assistant working alongside scientists.
Exactly. It could help design experiments, optimize research, even come up with new hypotheses. But it's important to remember that AI is a tool.
Right, it's the human scientists with their creativity and critical thinking who are driving the research. AI can help them see things in new ways, but it can't replace that spark of insight that leads to true discovery.
You got it. AI can help analyze data and explore possibilities, but it's humans who ask the questions and interpret the results.
It's a partnership, human and artificial intelligence working together to achieve something greater than either could alone.
One thing that fascinates me about these language models is how they challenge our understanding of language and thought.
It's like we're using AI to study our own minds.
By seeing how AI processes language, we might understand how our own brains learn and how language shapes our view of the world.
So AI isn't just about building machines, it's about understanding ourselves. It's using these tools to unlock the secrets of the human mind.
Exactly, and it's not just theoretical. Think about how AI could revolutionize accessibility for people with disabilities.
That's a powerful idea. AI could help people communicate, access information, and participate more fully in society.
Imagine AI-powered tools that help people who are deaf or hard of hearing to communicate or make visual information accessible to people with visual impairments.
And it's not just about making things easier, it's about empowering people to contribute their talents and perspectives.
Creating a world that's more inclusive and accessible for everyone, no matter their abilities.
It's about recognizing that our differences make us stronger.
We've had such a thought-provoking conversation today. The advancements in AI are truly amazing, and the potential to transform our world is huge.
It's a time of incredible change, and we get to decide how we shape it. We need to ensure that AI is used to create a future that benefits everyone.
Absolutely. We need to approach this future with curiosity, a willingness to learn, and above all, a commitment to using AI for good.
Well said. And on that note, I want to thank our listeners for joining us on this deep dive into natural language processing.
We've covered some really fascinating research and hopefully sparked some new ideas along the way.
I encourage everyone to keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Thanks for being here, everyone. Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.